Hello. Welcome back to another legacy video. Now let's jump right into the next part for our current project, that is the threaded bar stool. And today we're going to be producing this threaded shaft, creating the external threads for the project. So come with me and let's go do this on the new Robbie CNC system and point out a few things to keep in mind if you want to try this on your CNC. If this is your first time seeing a legacy CNC machine in action, I just like to point out that I'm going to be breaking down a lot of the decisions that I made and why, and hopefully give you some information that you can use on your CNC machine, and perhaps you can learn from my failures instead. For everyone else that's subscribed and is a returning viewer, thank you all for being here. Now the first thing that's being shown is the table fixtures are all being removed off of the horizontal work surface of the Robbie CNC system. I did all of the horizontal components first, such as the threaded nuts, the double-sided seat, the legs, all of that I did first, and then I took off those table fixtures so that I could expose the two other workstations, including the vertical workstation to do all my joinery, as well as the turning center that we're going to be using today to produce the threaded shaft. The blank is mounted between centers using the self-centering 4-jaw chuck and the live center to support the end. Now on the end of the material, I had to screw in what is called a faceplate so that that could fit inside of the 4-jaw chuck and have something to clamp onto. This blank is just too big to use with the standard jaws that came with the fixture. As an overall general practice, I like to oversize my blanks. That way I can overcome any of my human errors if I accidentally made my blank a wrong size or didn't program things correctly, and you're going to see one small mistake that I did today in the turning center. But I typically make my blanks oversized by 1/4 inch in the diameter, and I give myself 1.5 inches of excess material at the headstock end. That's the left end of the blank that we're seeing here, and about anywhere from 1/2 inch to 1 inch of material on the tailstock end to the right. Now for this blank, I'm actually cutting all the way to the end of the material. I won't have any excess material towards the tailstock. In total, I'm only going to use 2 cutters to produce this entire threaded shaft. The first is this 1.25 inch diameter surfacing cutter that can be used both for machining stock flat, but in this case, we're going to be using it to turn stock round. The second is a 90-degree V cutter to produce all of the threading details. Both of these cutters we got from magnate.net. I want to mention that I programmed this using Legacy's Conversational Cam Pro software. This takes full advantage of the shapes of cutters to machine spindles the fastest way possible with the cleanest results. So this first cutter, that 1.25 inch surfacing cutter, is being used to rough the entire body of the material round. Now let's go over some of the parameters that I'm using throughout this turning round sequence. I have this 1.25 inch surfacing cutter rotating at 16,000 RPM. It's taking 1/4 inch per pass as a pass depth, and the step over is 3/8 inch. Step over in the turning center is how far the cutter travels down the stock every time the material rotates 1 full revolution. The material is rotating at 46 rotations per minute. At these cutting speeds, we're feeding 366 inches of material through the cutter every single minute, which is why we can remove material so fast using this turning round technique with the surfacing cutter while keeping a clean surface finish. Now in other videos, I've also talked about chip thickness, but I want to bring it back up. Every once in a while, it's just nice to know about this tip that you can use on your CNC machines. And that is to use a browser search to find out what the optimum chip load would be based on the material and cutter size that you're using. For example, I searched CNC chip thickness for an 1.25 inch diameter cutter in alder. And the recommended range that came up, going through all the sources, is between 12 thousandths and 16 thousandths of an inch. Now I mentioned earlier that I made a mistake in running this program. You may notice that on the tailstock end, it has a section, about 1 inch worth, of material that isn't cut or removed, where it's supposed to be. That's because I ran this program in the wrong X0 position. So I'm going to rerun this program again, this time shifting my X0 forward 1 inch so that we remove all of that material all the way to the end of the blank. One thing I like to show new CNC users is how you can use the same cutting technique for 2 different purposes. So for example, here we're using the turning round toolpath in Conversational Cam Pro as a roughing toolpath to turn the entire body round, but also as a finishing toolpath to turn the tenon. Many toolpaths and CAM software can be used in similar ways. Once you understand the fundamentals of the toolpath, you can now control it to fit the need. Again, one of my favorite things to see is when new CNC users grasp this concept and they naturally apply these cutting techniques in different ways to come up with solutions in their projects. Now for the second cutter, that 90-degree V cutter. So let's cover a couple of terms and a few things that are common to know about threads. The first is knowing what is called terminating a thread. Most threads have this implemented into their designs. It simply means that we create a transitional point at the beginning and end of the thread to where the same cutter cuts around the circumference at those points. This creates a natural starting and stopping point for the threads. Now, external threading within the turning center is just another spiraling toolpath. And so if we understand spirals, we can control threading. So the first term in spiraling that we need to get familiar with is known as pitch. And this is the distance the cutter travels down the length of the stock per rotation. We actually called that another term earlier in this video. We called it step over when referring to the turning round process of the surfacing cutter. But here, for a spiraling technique, we call that pitch. However, there's another term that's used in threading to give us the same result, and that is threads per inch. Here, we chose to make 4 threads per inch, which means this spiral has a 1/4 inch pitch to give us 4 threads per inch. Other terms you're going to see in other CAD/CAM software when controlling your threading processes is outside and inside diameters. Now for these external threads, the largest diameter, the highest point of those threads, is the outer diameter. That means the lowest point of those threads, which create a inner diameter, is another parameter. The nice thing about Conversational Cam Pro and even the Vectric software is that you simply give it the outside diameter with the number of threads that you want to have, and it will automatically calculate what the inner diameter is going to be. The last common parameter that we can control on threading is the angle of the V cutter that we use. Now for most metal threads, we use a 60-degree V tool. However, in wood, I like to use a 90-degree V cutter. That way your material has less chance of breaking out and is a little bit more stable. Our job as operators is to simply take all of these parameters of a thread and to make sure they match for both the internal and the external threads. So in this situation, the outside diameter is 2.5 inches. We're using a 90-degree V cutter, cutting 4 threads per inch. One other thing that you can do, which is shown here, is coming back and removing just a small amount of material as a final pass. Now throughout this entire threading process, all the machining is cutting along the cross grain direction, which means we have the potential for additional tear out. The other thing we have to be concerned about, each thread is coming to a point, and that point is very brittle and can easily break out. So I like to slow down our feed rates here. I'm only feeding about 44 inches of material through the cutter per minute. So a lot slower, a lot more controlled to, again, help reduce the risk of tear out. Now all that's left over is removing the extra material. I'm just going to do this on a chop saw. And let's go do some test fits with the seat and the threaded nuts. I made the pocket a 10,000ths allowance around the entire perimeter. So technically this pocket is 0.02 inches bigger than the tenon. For the threading allowance, we're not gluing this together, and so this needs to be able to spin freely at any time, regardless of temperature, humidity levels, material density, all those different variables. So I usually recommend starting at a 10,000ths allowance, but increasing it up to a 20,000ths allowance. And in some situations, I've even increased it more than that. You just have to do some test cuts and find out what that sweet spot is for these wooden threads. Well, this turned out pretty cool. However, what it's being applied to is very rare in the woodworking project realm of seeing wooden threads take place. So if you have any ideas of where else you would place this in projects, share those comments right down below. You never know what can show up in the next project design from your recommendations. Now, if you're interested in learning more about a legacy CNC system and what it can do for your woodworking capabilities, there's a couple of resources. One is all the videos here right on our YouTube channel. We got piles of project demonstrations, so go ahead and have a good time checking those out. But if you're interested in learning more about the CNC systems themselves, I recommend you jump on over to our website at legacywoodworking.com. In the next video, we're going to be bringing all of these parts together, doing some final steps before everything is glued up, but that will be the final video in this threaded bar stool project. So keep an eye out for that next video. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in that next video.